Good morning or good evening to Miss Lulu as our lecturer for this subject, which is structure of English. So today I will be presenting my assignment, one titled Synthetic Manipulation in Headlines, Impact, Engagement and Ethics. My name is NOORFAZRENna binti Mali from course BTESL. So this study explores how syntax or sentence structure can be strategically used in media headlines to shape meaning, emotion and perception. So for the introduction, this is my introduction part. In today's media landscape, headlines are not just short summary. They are powerful tools that can influence public perception through words, order, grammar, and structure. So writer can evoke emotion, express values, and even guide how reader interpret a piece of news. So in this study, or in this report, I analyzed two real Malaysian headlines from the Star newspaper. Published in 2025, which is the first one is government launched My Kasih Prihatin initiative to aid low-income household nationwide, and then the second one is MSM Malaysian Holdings Berhad post increased in 4-quarter net profit to 71.7 million ringgit. So both headlines seem straightforward, but when I analyze carefully, they show how syntax can create empathy, authority, and trust. So to do this, I use two main linguistic theories, which is systemic functional grammar, which is SFG by Halliday, and generative grammar, GG by Chomsky. Okay. Let's move on to the theoretical foundation, which is the first one is systemic functional grammar, SFG. So SFG view language as a social systems. According to Halliday, every sentence performs three meta functions, which is ideational, which express experience and ideas, interpersonal, which is show relationship and attitudes, and the last one is textual meta function, which organize information clearly. So SFG focus on meanings, where for example, it asks, why did the writer choose this structure? What effect does it create? Something like that. And on the other hand, generative grammar, which is GG, proposed by Noam Chomsky, focus on the rules and structure of sentence. So it explains how human can generate infinite sentence from limited rules. GG's generative grammar, or GG, studies how deep structure or complete thoughts are transformed into surface structure, which are the sentence we see or hear. So when applied to news headline, generative grammar helps explain why headline can omit auxiliaries or articles. When applied to news headline, generative grammar helps explain why headline can omit auxiliaries or articles and still remain grammatically acceptable. So for the next, I will present about integration of theories. So in short, SFG tells us why certain structures are chosen for meaning and persuasion, while GG, generative grammar, shows how these structures are formed grammatically. So by combining both, we can understand how syntax function as both a technical system and a social tool in media writing. So we move on to the structural analysis. My first headline is government launched My Kasih Prihatin initiative to aid low-income household nationwide. So for the first headline, the structure follow the pattern actor, process, goal, and circumstance. For the actor, government, the example of the actor is government. So the function is representing authority and leadership. For the process process element, which is launch, the function is a dynamic action-oriented verb showing progress. The third element is goal, which is the example My Kasih Prihatin initiative. The function is the tangible symbol of compassion. The last element is circumstance. The example or the words is to aid low-income household nationwide. So the function is to emphasizing inclusivity and empathy. So through this SFG, we see that this headline promotes an image of the government as proactive and caring. The verb launch gives a sense of initiative and positivity, while the infinitive to aid appeals to emotion and social responsibilities. So by omitting the article the before government, the headline generalizes the action, making it seem as though the whole government is united in this act of Goodwill. From a generative grammar perspective, this headline is shortened version of a deeper sentence. For example, the government has launched a program called My Kasih Prihatin to help low-income families in the country. So through transformation, unnecessary words like has or are removed. So this process called ellipsis make the headline concise, direct and impactful while still maintaining grammatical sense. So generative grammar explain how the headline structure and reduce how the headline structure is reduced to create brevity without losing clarity. So moving on to this is my simplified form for the syntax, my syntax tree for the headline 1. Okay. Moving on to the next headline, which is MSM Malaysia Holding Berhad post increase for quarter net profit. So for the SFG analysis, the second headline, it carries a tone of professionalism and confidence. So using SFG, I can identify the same pattern, same like the first headline, which is the first element, actor MSM Malaysia Holding Berhad. The function is to representing corporate authority. For the process, the example is post. It's an assertive, success-oriented verb commonly used in financial reporting. So the third element is goal, which is jump in for quarter net profit, which is its highlight rapid improvements. For the last element is circumstance, which is to RM 71.7 million. The function is to add precision and credibility. So this combination of word jump and the numerical detail of 71.7 millions creates both emotional and factual appeal. So this synthetic structure builds trust and optimism, promoting the company as strong and successful. Again, the omission of words like its or contributes to the concise, rhythmic flow typical of headline style. Grammar GG analysis for headline 2, generative grammar terms. This headline is derived from a longer structure, such as MSM Malaysia Holdings Berhad has posted a jump in its fourth quarter net profit to 71.7 million. So transformation remove the auxiliary, has a possessive its while keeping the SVO pattern, which is subject, verb, and object. So this makes sentence grammatically compact and easy to read. So in essence, generative grammar reveals that headlines syntax is not random, but it follows specific transformational rules that simplify language while preserving the meaning. So moving on, this is my first structure representation for headline 2. Okay. So the summary of the findings for both articles, when I'm comparing both headlines, a few things stand out, which is both using active voice to show authority and positivity. Both headlines rely on lexical economy, meaning they use a few words as possibles. And the last one, both create emotional tone, which is empathy in the first and confidence in the second. So from SFG, we learned that syntax helps build social meaning, how readers can feel and respond toward the articles or the headlines. From the generative grammar, we see how synthetic simplification achieve clarity and impacts. So together, both headlines show that syntax is both structural and persuasive. So for the next is comparative evaluation. For the explanatory power, generative grammar explains how headlines maintain grammatical accuracy despite of being short and elliptical. But it doesn't explain the why, the purpose behind those choice. That's where SFG fills the gap, showing how syntax express ideology, emotion, and stance. So, in summary, in short, I can explain is generative grammar explains structure, meanwhile SFG explains function and meaning. When combined, they provide a complete understanding of syntax in media discourse. Okay, moving on to the next, which is pedagogical implication. So this analysis, while doing this analysis, it also has implication for language teaching, which is generative grammar. helps students master grammatical rules and sentence structure. Meanwhile, the systemic functional grammar, which is SFG, helps students understand how language creates meaning in real-life communication. So by teaching both, educators can help learners develop not only grammatical accuracy, but also critical literacy. So the ability to question and interpret how language influence through and how language influence thoughts and emotions. So moving on to the next slide, next paragraph, next page, which is ethical and interpretive dimension. So synthetic manipulation, as we know, also has ethical consequences, which is grammar can shape how reader perceive truth or bias. For instance, both headlines use positive verbs like launch and pause, which subtly frame events as positive and trustworthy. So this may influence how reader perceive the government and the company. So writer should therefore use syntax responsibly to ensure clarity and honesty, not exaggeration or manipulation. So for my personal insight, through this research doing this assignment, I realized that syntax is not just about grammar, it's about power and perception. So before I thought the headlines is simply summarize information, but now I understand that every word, structure and omission is intentional. So this intentional design to attract attention, shape emotion, and convey ideology to the reader. So as a future English educator, I see value of teaching students not only how to write correctly, but also how to read critically. So language, as we know, language is not neutral. Even grammar carries meanings and influence. So for my conclusion and recommendation, so to conclude, synthetic manipulation in media headlines is purposeful strategy that combines grammatical precision and persuasive power. So SFG and GG together reveal that syntax not only organize language but also shape meaning, tone, and ideology. So I would like to recommend some of the following. I would like to recommend the following, which is the first one to teacher. Teachers should link grammar lesson to real example like news headline to make learning more meaningful or engaging to the students. The second one is among the students. Students should try or learn analyze syntax critically to recognize bias and tone in media, so they understand how the syntax is used in some words. So for the last one, to the media writers or journalists, they should balance creativity with ethical responsibility, which is using grammar to clarify, not to distort. So ultimately, grammar is not just a set of rules, it's form of communication, influence, and responsibilities. Okay, this is my references that I used for doing this assignment, this research. This is my appendix. The first headline article, article, MSM Malaysia Post jump in 4Q net profit to 71.7 million. Okay. From the stars. Okay, this is my second headline, which is my Kasi upgraded to handle increased usage. So thank you for listening. That's all for my presentation on synthetic manipulation in headlines, impact, engagement, and ethics.